The NBA has another trophy. Whee! It's Luka and Jokic and final minute and Joey Chestnut in Cleveland. Run It Back starts now.
Run it up, the run it back. Run it up, the run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up.
Welcome and happy Wednesday morning. This is Run It Back. Shams, I see, did not get the Wednesday All Black message. That's okay. We'll get back on that. How you doing?
You didn't send me the email, Michelle. Come on.
I know. I am slacking so hard, you guys. By the way, that is Stadium Insider Shams Charania, of course, Chandler Parsons, Eddie G on the end. Eddie and I are almost very alike today. But guys, no good news on the parlay, but we'll get to that at the end of the show. Just save the worst for last. But we do want to start with things in Cleveland. Last night, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers and the return again of LeBron James. But he got a nice welcome. Here it is.
Cleveland 2016 NBA champion,
Such an emotional roller coaster over the last decade, isn't it? But the Cavs did beat this Lakers squad 116-102. Donovan Mitchell, my goodness, 43 points, 6 assists, 5 boards. Chandler, let's start with him. He is a top what player in this league?
Yeah, he's a top 15 player in this league. I know 15. We discussed this, DeMar DeRozan, who's great, but this guy here, he's an all-NBA player right now if the season were to end. He can do it all. He's become even more of a star from leaving Utah. And with him and Garland and these young bigs, they have such a great balanced team. They have shooting, they have guards, they have bigs, they have wings. And he is just the heart of this team. And watching him last night, the guy he's like an acrobat out there. He gets to his spot, he's flying around, he's dunking. His finishing is so creative, the way he uses his body and hangs. To me, he's, second team, third team, all NBA, no question right now, which, puts him borderline top 10, but easily top 15 in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, and what you got to remember about Mitch is he averaged 28 points a game in the playoffs over his career. He started his career with a deep run in the playoffs. He's used to that. He wants that. That's kind of why he immediately wanted to get out of Utah, even though he didn't formally ask. As soon as they were breaking it down, he was ready to go. Top 15, I mean, it sounds about right. He's playing incredible this year. He's completely transformed that team from, happy, go lucky, they made the play-in, they were technically the 7th seed, this is fun team, to, could they win a couple playoff rounds if things break right? Could we see them in June? A lot of that lies on his back. I'd like to see them add a little size on the wing before it's all said and done, but Donovan Mitchell's good enough to carry a playoff offense, and there's only a handful of players you can say that about in the league.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the thing that really stands out is just the way that him and Darius Garland are already playing off each other. When I spent time around the Cavs early this year and I spoke to people around their organization, it was these guys are both really unselfish. They both want to win, and sometimes it can be lip service, but the way that they play, Darius Garland can space the floor. Donovan Mitchell can play off the ball. I definitely had some questions about the fit initially, but you could already tell now that these two guys can play with each other, and we'll just see how far they go.
I mean, that's the big question, right, Chandler? Do you consider them to be the best backcourt in the NBA?
I do, and I think it helped. I think it helped both of them having the other one out to where they can get comfortable. They can kind of run the offense. They both can play point guard. They both can play off the ball. Like I said, they both can distribute. They both play pick and roll. There's not much that these two guys can't do. They got to get a little bit better defensively, but yeah, I think they're the best backcourt. I think they're explosive. They're fun to watch. I mean, outside the Bucks and the Celtics, the Cavs are right there. And I don't think they can beat those guys in a series yet, but man, it would be fun. And it's going to go deep in a series with these guys because they're young, they're explosive, they're long, and they got these two guards that are unbelievable.
Yeah, I struggle to put any backcourt above a Stephen Curry backcourt. I struggle a little bit wondering about what the Bucks backcourt is at full health with Drew and Chris Middleton, but they're right there. They're when you look at the totality of each of those and whoever else you may throw in the bunch, they're right there. You worry a little bit about their size on defense, but the Cavs are also built to compensate for that with their big back line and the way they swarm on defense in that way as well. They understood that when putting this team together, and I want to see it in a playoff setting. But I think Donovan Mitchell is also a little underrated on that end. He's got really long arms. He's a strong guy. I think he can, under the right settings. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with them being the best backcourt. I might pick the Bucks ahead of them, but they look amazing right now.
I mean, look, it's fun that we're even here talking about this. It just makes the league that much better. And the big story going into last night, of course, was the Lakers. Not just LeBron returning to Cleveland, but the AD that we've all been watching and that basketball fans have been waiting for. And unfortunately, we only got about 8 minutes of that. He left the game, flu-like symptoms. Shams, you tweeted it out. And of course, the world went nuts because this is a scene we're very familiar with. AD leaving the court, going to the back. So, and we saw what happened. Chandler, without AD, this Lakers team is what?
Not very good. I mean, I don't think they're very good still with AD. He's been really playing well, obviously. I think they're dangerous in a playoff series if they happen to get there with AD. Without them, they have 0% chance. And even Thomas Bryant plays solid off the bench of them. And I just saw a tweet from Skip Bayless said, like, tags LeBron and AD. It says, do you realize that Michael Jordan has played nine seasons, played 82 games? And it's just like the national TV game. And then he goes out with flu symptoms. I'm assuming he didn't feel good before the game, or I don't know what the deal was, but this is just kind of, this is stuff that you got to just kind of learn to live with having Anthony Davis on your team. Even when he's dominating right now and playing great, he's going to miss time. And, you know, they had the lead still in the fourth quarter here. So like the game wasn't out of hand, but yeah, this team is nowhere near the same without this guy. And I still don't think they're very good with him.
One-on-one fever for AD.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on a back-to-back, I don't know if he plays tonight. I mean, when you're dealing with a one-on-one fever, you only play 8 minutes in one game on a back-to-back on the road in Toronto. Obviously, definitely puts his status in question. But it definitely was interesting just seeing the reaction that came out when he only played 8 minutes, and then Twitter just goes crazy about the fact that some people have him on their fantasy team or whatever the case may be. But I think for the Lakers, a lot of their surge going 8-2 has, of course, been about AD. So if you don't have him, that's basically your best player, one of the best players in the league, being out of your lineup. They're not the same team. It's not by a long shot.
No, not even close. Look, I guess the silver lining is he had a fever during the day, the 101. He tried. Maybe that is the silver lining, is that he tried and old AD wouldn't have. It was unfortunate. It was a TNT game, and Charles Barkley, of course, having given him the street clothes nickname. It's a bad night for him to have to leave the court. But you guys, you were making me laugh because when he left, it was very clear what this Lakers team was, Eddie. And I feel like you should really defend yourself. Go ahead.
Well, look, Chandler made a great point. They were right there with them in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavs obviously pulled off late with the big run, but they didn't lose this game because Anthony Davis had the flu and couldn't Michael Jordan it. They lost this game because they shot 6 of 36 from three. This is like awful shooting basketball team. LeBron was 2 of 6 yesterday. He had the most threes on the team, and he's creating open shots all game. They lost because they cannot shoot the ball. Chandler, if you can give them 10 minutes, I'm pretty sure they'll have a jersey for you. Like you have the opportunity if you want. If I can give them 10 minutes and hit 2 threes, they might have a jersey for me. But it was an awful display. And then watching the Jazz pull away with that while they just bricked over and over and over was pretty bad. They need Anthony Davis to be that paint presence. But they also need somebody to make a jumper every once in a while.
Well, they just cut the only real shooter on their team who wasn't a great player, but that didn't really make sense to me. But here's my thing too: like, if you have a 101 fever before the game,
right?
There's no way the team is letting you come to the game if you're contagious and you can get everyone else sick. So I don't know the situation with that. That's one thing you can't really fake. You can say you have back spasms, you can say your knee is sore, you can say a lot of things. But 101 fever almost is irresponsible to even let him come to the arena and play if that were true. So respect, I guess, for trying to play, but playing with that high of a fever and being sick is kind of silly when you can just get your whole team sick on the night before back-to-back.
I know. Given the last few years, I feel like a fever is it's a big glaring neon sign that we have to chill out for a second. There was a highlight for people like me who are obsessed with overeating. Joey Chestnut sighting in the house with pierogies, no less. How about this? 47 pierogies. He ate more than everyone else combined, who only put down 33 only, by the way. Chandler, I mean, look, pierogies are great. They're dumplings, if people don't know. How many are we thinking we can do here, Chandler?
Honestly, this makes me queasy. I hate watching this guy. I didn't know what a pierogi was either.
Delicious.
I mean, I can eat a lot, but I'm this guy's in a whole nother level with. I don't think the food matters with this cat.
Well, I will say this: he had been at St. Elmo's in Indianapolis, the previous competition.
Great restaurant.
Yeah, a great restaurant, obviously known for their shrimp cocktail. He'd won 8 years in a row, only placed 4th. So he's definitely on a slump. So
I didn't know he performed at halftime though.
I didn't either. Is this the first
time he's ever performed at like halftime of like a game? Like I remember seeing him, was it New Year's Day or like Thanksgiving or something? Like he's on TV eating. Like I've never seen him at halftime of an NBA game or any
Imagine that being your talent to get paid to eat on national TV.
I love it. It's my dream job. You guys don't even know. Next time we're all hanging out, get me some powdered donuts. I will make you think Joey Chestnut's an amateur. All right? I got this.
Done.
That's my thing. So moving on.
It's done.
It's just my favorite. All right. So this was a big part of last night, of course, was the Mavs Nuggets. A lot of expectations for the Mavs. Doublehead or back to back on that one, but they win in Denver. Luka, game-winning assist this time. Jamal Murray's half-court game-winning attempt fell short. This was a big deal, Chandler, especially you had talked about having been at the game the night before, then they had to fly to Denver and how difficult that is. How impressed were you by the fact that Dallas pulled out a W here?
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this game. This was an awesome game, and this is a very, very, very impressive win for Dallas. And talking with Mark the night before, he's swearing that if they make their free throws, they'd be 17-6 right now. And They did last night. And I'm watching the game. I couldn't help but think they were going to blow this lead. Luka started settling for jumpers. Bruce Brown has that big three, but they came up big. They made their free throws down the stretch. Luka made a great pass to Dorian Finney-Smith that had the big three there at the end. But it's interesting, too, because Tim Hardaway Jr. traveled before he got fouled at the end of the game. So I don't know if we have the clip, but these refs, they've now created this thing where – and they called a travel on Jamal Murray right before that, too. And this was a huge play in the game. Obviously, a game never comes down to one call, but – before they fouled him there at the end of the game, he traveled, and I couldn't help but just think that's a big, big missed call, especially how much they've been kind of zeroing in on that call. But yeah, this was huge for them. Tim Hardaway was massive. The stat about him hitting 5 threes in 5 consecutive games is unbelievable. And look, if someone on the Mavs has 29 points besides Luka, they're going to win a lot of games. And he's one of the guys that can step up. Dinwiddie's got to step up. Wood's got to step up. I love the kid Josh Green. He's getting better, every single time he plays. But this, especially on the back-to-back, to knock off the Suns and the Nuggets, this is huge progress for the Mavs to get them kind of going the right direction.
Yeah, 50% from the floor for the Mavericks. They look like a contender the last 2 nights. They took care of business. 2 tough games, a home and road away, back-to-back. What I like most is what Chandler mentioned, that other guys are making shots. Tim Hardaway Jr. looks resurgent after working through some injuries the last few years and even a little bit this season. Chandler texted us mid-game and said, they're doubling Luka at every second, every move. We're definitely going to hit the under on that. That was our one parlay leg, so thanks, Denver, for that. But I think the other end of the court is the issue here. Nikola Jokic, our reigning MVP, they ran him into every action they could. If he was on the floor, they were running pick and roll, pick and pop. They were running him off ball, trying to see, if he was going to switch, he was going to fight through screens. And they ate the Nuggets with that all night. It was tough to watch. And to me, this is when, we talk about Jokic and where he fits amongst the best in the league and all these guys. This is always the Achilles heel to me. And this is always why I look at the Nuggets and say, in a playoff series, they can be exploited. And not only can they be exploited, their best player can, and that's a fatal flaw for them.
And this, honestly, this didn't work out last night for the Nuggets, but this is the recipe to beat the Mavs. You double team Luka Doncic. He had held him to 22 points, 11 points under his average. And it just so happened that Tim Hardaway stepped up. Dorian Finney-Smith stepped up. These guys hit threes. That's what's going to take for the Mavs to take that next step, because come playoff series, they're not going to allow Luka to get off. They're not going to allow Luka to have these 40-point games, 50-point games. They're going to trap him in every situation, pick and rolls, post up, as soon as he crosses half court. So these other guys are going to have to do what they did last night. And kudos to them for doing it on the road on a back-to-back, kind of getting it done for the Mavs.
And I do want to focus on Luka a little more in a second, but on the Nuggets situation, Shams, they've lost their last 3. This is obviously a team with expectations the last several seasons. What is the issue right now?
Yeah, I think you said the word, right? Expectations. And this is a talented roster. You have Jamal Murray coming back. You already have Nikola Jokic, 2-time MVP. But you got Michael Porter Jr., Bones Highland, Michael Porter, MPJ. Like, we're waiting on him to get back on the floor. He's missed some time with a heel injury. But Bones Highland, it was very curious. He said post-game that there's been frustration in the locker room. I think a lot of that stems from when you have those expectations where a couple years ago when they got Aaron Gordon via trade, like, I thought this team was destined to make a run in the finals. They had just been in the conference finals the year before, and they got Jamal Murray back this year. They just have not gotten even close to that level yet. And I think it really does fall on the organization to get the most out of this group, because the talent level is there. So, yeah, I know Chandler's played for a few teams that have had expectations in Houston and Dallas and then might not, reach that level. So I'm just curious, like, when you're in that locker room and you're seeing that happen, you're not playing at that level, like, how tough is it? How frustrating is it?
Yeah, it weighs on you. And you have the 2-time MVP. You have expectations. And Jamal Murray, he's had some good games this year, but last night was really the first time I watched him for an entire game. And he's hesitant. He's overthinking. He's turning down shots. He catches the ball and he's shot faking and trying to playing too unselfish in a way. He's 2 for 11 last night, but it falls a lot on him. He's their second best player. He's their point guard. He's got to be better. And I know coming off injury is tough, but he's got to find a way to be more consistent. Jokic didn't really show up in the second half. I love Bones Highland. The guy is explosive. He can score from all angles. Aaron Gordon's been great with Porter out, but yeah, I think Jamal Murray's got to be better. And obviously they need Porter back healthy as soon as they can, but this is a team that we expect to be a contender, and they're struggling right now. And I think a lot has to do with Jamal Murray.
And back to Luka for a second, because it's Luka and usage rate. Those are all the words that always seem to go together when we're talking about him and his coach, Jay Kidd, for 82 games. It's no way that he could play at this level. The usage rate is way too high. He had 37 minutes, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists last night. Second in the NBA in usage rate, Chandler. Look, obviously Jason Kidd's the man who makes the calls, but how can he lighten Luka's workload and keep this team in the running?
Yeah, it's funny coming from the head coach, because
right?
It's kind of in his control there. But you almost got to not play Luka. You got to load management. You got to do the pop, or you just don't play him at all. Because when he plays, he's going to play a lot of minutes. He's going to have the ball in his hands. He's going to do his thing. I'd almost consider sitting him some games and just have him not play at all, and give these other guys, give Josh Green the chance to step up and be a big player. Give Hardaway and Spencer Dinwiddie and Christian Wood the number one options some night, because I agree, Luka is unbelievable. He's having a crazy year, but this is the James Harden from a couple of years ago, the Westbrook. He can't sustain this. And this is a lot to be doing in November and December, and they're going to need him come playoff time. And it would be nice to get these other guys reps as the go-to guy, so Luka doesn't have to do everything for this team. But I would consider just shutting him down once every 2 weeks, which I hate, but it seems like the only option for them.
Right.
Yeah, it is kind of funny coming from the head coach that they should play a little different. I think about this the same. I think about LeBron. I think about James Harden. I think about other guys. I don't think Luka wants to play another style. It would be very easy for him to go hide in the corner or run some off-ball actions. They could run flex, they could run pin downs, they could do all kind of stuff. He could do high post. I think these guys like playing this way. I think they prefer this way, and in some ways they can only play this way. There's all these famous James Harden memes of him without the ball at half court holding his shorts. Luka's pretty similar. You'll see Luka standing at the coach's line just watching Spencer Dinwiddie do whatever Spencer Dinwiddie's going to do. I think these guys like this kind of play. In some ways, standing in one spot and dribbling isn't as tiring as it probably sounds like it is, and they can do that all night. But I don't think they're going to play any different. It's up to Jason Kidd. So for Jason Kidd to be saying this, he knows he can't go on the court and move Luka around. So this is the team. This is what they're going to do. Maybe you play him less minutes, but as we all know, their on-off numbers say, he basically can never come off the court. So this is the situation they're in with him, and I think they all love it, truth be told.
And get him a second star. Like we keep talking about this. Get him someone else. Re-sign Jalen Brunson. You know he was going to be in this situation. You know Spencer Dinwiddie.
Let it go, Chandler. Let it go.
Two options. Like that just pisses
gone.
me off that you let Jalen Brunson. If you knew he was going to leave, you got to trade him before, not lose that guy for nothing. But get this guy help. It's just he's going to start getting frustrated.
Well, I saw the end of the game, right? There were, I think, 4 possessions in a row at the end where Luka Doncic was literally, it was him, isolation. I think he missed a couple of shots and then he turned it over twice, like 4 straight plays. Denver got the lead back and then Dallas came back and won the game. But that was a stretch where they could have easily lost the game. It was like, they kind of gave the game to Denver and then stole it back. And that's when the 5th possession, I believe it was, Luka finally passed out of the double team. Dorian Finney-Smith hit the 3. I think a lot of the onus does have to fall on just how they play systematically, because if the ball moves, we know that they have some level of success, right? Dorian Finney-Smith can shoot. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been turning it on lately as a starter. Spencer Dinwiddie can provide kind of that secondary type of offense. So a lot of that also, I want to see the trust level improve as well among the team.
It sounds like Luka's the kind of guy you have to protect him from himself. And I would have to say the coach is probably the only one that can do that at this point. Guys, don't look now. But we got ourselves a comeback squad. The Detroit Pistons, ladies and gentlemen, they're making things happen. Embarrassing, I would say, the Miami Heat, 116-96. Bogdanovich with 31. He had 28 of those after halftime. Hero, 34 in the loss, and Butler sits. Chandler, let's just do both. What does it say about the Pistons, and what does it say about the Heat?
It says that Bogdanovich's trade value isn't going to be higher, so they need to move him before they keep winning more games. He went off last night. This is a horrific loss for Miami. I can't figure them out because I like their team. Tyler Hero's been really good starting, but he almost is better for their team to go get those 20 points off the bench. Obviously, they're missing Jimmy Butler, but Kyle Lowry has really, really struggled. Jimmy being out hurts. He's kind of the glue guy, do it all. But this can't happen. A team that's tanking, a team that's missing their best player, to do this at home. This is a tough loss. And like I said, I can't understand the Heat. I like their roster. I like Strus. I like Robinson. The only positive thing they really have is if Victor Oladipo, he played last night, if he can come back and he can be that spark plug off the bench, because now with Hero starting, they're kind of thin there and they're going to need someone to come out and get buckets off the bench. But this is a head scratcher because the Pistons, again, they don't want to win, but obviously they're going to go out there and play. This is tough.
That was a big one.
Yeah, the Heat have to really wonder what they're going to do with this season going forward. They've dangled Duncan Robinson in trade talks since he signed his deal, basically. They've kind of done it a little bit with Tyler Hero as well. They've tried to trade Kyle Lowry almost the moment they overpaid him. He's making $28 million this year. He'll make $29 million next year. Jimmy Butler's contract is obviously a massive max deal as well for a guy who misses a ton of games every year. I know, their mantra is basically to get to the playoffs and figure it out from there. I know they were a shot away from another trip to the finals last year, literally one shot. But this team is not a good team right now, and they can't keep everybody on the floor. They can't find a deal that makes sense. They dabbled around in the KD talks this summer, and that went wherever it went. Obviously, he's a Brooklyn Net still. I'm not sure what they do because they've been trying to trade these guys for some time. I mean, Shams could shed some light on it. Let me not be the insider guy. But it seems like they've been trying to trade some of these guys for some time and have not been able to. So if they're not going to trade Bam, this is their team. This is their roster. They'll make some changes on the fringes and hope Eric Spoelstra remains Eric Spoelstra and build something out of this. But there is a big gap between the top teams in the East and this team right here.
We've heard Duncan Robinson, but this is a team like Pat Riley. He preaches consistency, and this is a team that, just like you said, Eddie, one shot away from another. I think would have been second finals appearance in 3 years. So I think they bank on that consistency level. But there's no question, this team, without Jimmy Butler especially, they're not as dynamic. They started the year, they gave Tyler Hero all that money, kind of built the offense around him, and then Jimmy took on more of an onus, and he got hurt. So it's been definitely a difficult start. I guess they could put it on injury a little bit, but they need to get Jimmy Butler on the court as much as possible.
But also, every team in the East did make a move and got better, and the Heat's roster just kind of stayed the same. They kind of did the Mavs thing, where like they had a great year and they just kind of stayed the same, which everyone else didn't. So they naturally just took a step back, which you can't. It's not really a good recipe.
No,
I know they beat the Celtics a few days ago, but they also got blown out by them just before that, and really just pissed the Celtics off for the next 3 weeks. So they got to do something.
Yeah, it feels like they were expecting things to be sort of the same, and they're not. And that's a really hard wake-up call for everybody. Coming up, we're taking a quick break. Is Kyle Kuzma about to get paid? And could we possibly be talking coaching changes with the Knicks already when Run It Back returns?
Run it up, run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it.
It is time to get the scoop with Shams. I know you recently had Kyle Kuzma and spoke with him for The Athletic. Give us your biggest takeaways from that conversation.
His brash confidence, like this guy is very, very confident in his ability. He does not shy away. He feels like he's a star in this league, and he feels like he was a shell of himself in LA. He goes to Washington, and now he's the third 20 points per game scorer on this Wizards team. He's been kind of a co-star with Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis. And so for me, our conversation was really about his opportunity to grow. But I also looked at the bigger picture. Like, what does this mean for his future? Does he become a guy that the Wizards explore because he does have a player option for $13 million in the summer? Do they explore what's out there for him, or do they just hold on to him? Porzingis also has a player option. And two teams I would look at that could have a level of interest in him, have expressed interest in him, Atlanta and Phoenix. The Wizards also have talked to Atlanta at times about John Collins. So could there be some synergy there? We'll see. Right now, the Wizards want Kuzma to be a cornerstone, a part of their future moving forward. But I'm told when I talk to teams around the league, the number that keeps coming up is somewhere in that $20, $25 million per year range for him on a new deal potentially this offseason.
I mean, going to Phoenix would be amazing for him. And also shout out John Collins, constantly a part of every trade talk forever. What do you think, though? Do you feel like this could happen, or is it just more talk?
Well, I think this is something that the Wizards are going to have to figure out. Like, is this a guy that you want to continue to build around? Because you know that there's a price threshold you're going to have to get to retain him. It's going to be 20 or more. So they're going to have to make a decision getting closer to the trade deadline. Is that a route you want to go with? Or do you go with a guy like John Collins, who's already under contract for multiple years after this year? I believe 3 years after this year, 25 a year. But right now, they want Kuzma to work. They want this big three that they've formed to be formidable in the East.
All right, I want to hear what you think, Chandler. 2025, do you keep him? Do you trade him? What do you do with Kuzma?
I think they keep him just because it's not really a destination. No one really wants to go there. I don't see them getting much better, but yeah, ignorance is bliss with him. He's got confidence. He thinks he's a star. I don't know that he'll ever be an all-star. Is he going to get a bag? For sure. He's played great. He's got size. He can handle. He can shoot the ball. I like him on a team like Phoenix where he's got other players around him, and I liked him on the Lakers, and now I don't like him so much as kind of like one of the guys on the Wizards. It's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, you put Devin Booker next to him, he's a lot better. You put him on the Hawks with that much talent, he's very good. But I don't think he's ever a 1 or 2 option on a championship team. I don't ever think he's an all-star, but he's going to get paid. He's going to get $100 million, and he deserves it. He's playing well. He's versatile. He can do a little bit of everything. And yeah, the dude is confident. He's confident, and he plays hard. And it's funny, he played a little bit of the right way more in LA. He still takes some crazy shots, but now in DC, he's getting even more confidence. He knows that. I mean, listen, he's averaging 20 points on the 10th seed. Like it's not act like he's absolutely killing, but he's playing better, and he's going to get paid.
I agree with Chandler, and the best place for Kuz is somewhere averaging like 14 points on a contender. He's grown as a defensive player. He's 27 years old. this is the best deal he's probably going to get in his career. I think one thing to keep in mind is with the new TV deal coming, his deal will age well. The new TV deal will change the BRI smack dab in the middle of his contract, and it'll look a lot better. What I do wonder and what I do think is great team building is you let a guy play up to this contract on your team. If you're not a contender, you let him walk. You don't want him to be the centerpiece of your team. But if you are a contender and you have the space to add somebody, maybe somebody like the Pelicans can add him and he becomes a piece for you. I think that's a great add. So it's all about situation. Somebody's going to pay him. I think he's worthy of the contract. You know, I wouldn't make him the centerpiece of my team, but a complimentary piece at a nice price, yeah, that can push you over the top. Look at what Andrew Wiggins did last year, and we've had a host of those guys over the history of the NBA. So I think Chandler's dead on.
But that's the problem, right? Teams pay guys off what they've done or what they're doing, not what they're going to do. And they did it with me. I had great years in my free agent years. They paid me. It didn't really pan out for them. I can see that being similar. I can see that being similar for Kuzma. The guy, he'll put up big numbers, he'll have big games, but I don't see it as on a contending team. Like Eddie said, he needs to just kind of be that everything guy. Average 15, 5 and 5. He doesn't need to be the guy that's going to get 30 or averaging 20 on a bad team. I think the more talent and the better team he's on, the better Kyle Kuzma is going to be.
I love when we get Chandler confessions just randomly thrown into the show somewhere in there. Shams, I know this is our Friday here, being Wednesday. We will see you Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you as always. Chandler. You know what? I like this segue, by the way, because we're going to talk Washington Wizards. It's panic button time. This is perfect timing. They're 3-7, their last 10. If we're going to talk about whether they're contenders or not, this doesn't look great. Beal out with a hammy. If you're going to hit the panic button on this Wizards team, Eddie?
Yeah, a little bit. And for a lot of what we just mentioned, they have two incredibly tradable players in Kristaps Porzingis and Kyle Kuzma. And people are calling. Shams reported it. Phoenix is interested. Atlanta is interested. I'd imagine there's other teams as well. And the same thing for Porzingis, as both these guys are on expiring deals, and they're set to get hefty raises. This isn't a contender by any means. So do you triple down with these three guys and say, yo, we'll be the 6th seed forever? No, that's not the best way to build a team. Maybe not panic today, December 7th, but you have to assume coming up on the deadline, those guys will be looking to get something for those players before they walk for nothing.
Yeah, I love Leonsis. He's a smart guy, but this can't be my team going forward. They're never going to win with these three guys. It almost feels like Brad just kind of got the bag, and now he's just kind of hoping to get moved to a team that he actually wants to be at. But Porzingis is playing very, very good. And like we just talked about Kuzma, he's balling. So I think if I'm them, I'm making a move because again, they're not going to contend. But then on the flip side, I don't know who else they can get. So I'm panicking just because they kind of put their eggs in all these this trio's basket, and I don't see it.
Zach LaVine. All right, so all the numbers that you could possibly care about, they're all his lowest in 5 years. Chandler, is it time to hit the panic button on Zach LaVine?
Yeah, I do, because coming off the knee injuries, it's tough. He's always kind of relied on his athleticism. He can shoot the ball, he can score. I just don't like him here. I don't like him with DeRozan. I don't Vucevic. This is one of the teams where, if they didn't get off to a hot start, I could see them kind of blowing it up, and they're not happy there, but somehow Billy D got the extension, but the players aren't really messing with them. I don't know about this situation, but yeah, LaVine is coming off a knee injury and he's averaging career lows. So that's enough for me to hit the panic button.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to somebody about Zach before the season started, as we were kind of wondering when he's going to come back, and they were worried about his knee, and they were worried about what player he was going to be going forward. Not that he wasn't going to recover and be at an all-star level, just that he might be a little different. His game is built on his athleticism. He's one of the greatest jumpers we've ever seen. And so to lose even 3% of that is going to hurt him. You wonder what the Bulls are doing going forward. They owe a pick to Orlando. It's top 4 protected this year, but do you want to risk that and bottom out right now? And then it ends up being the 5 pick. I don't know. I think, they just gave their coach an extension. Maybe they're waiting for Lonzo Ball to come back and saying, hey, we'll see what we are after that. But Yeah, there definitely needs to be some panic with Zach LaVine. That many leg injuries, knee injuries for a guy who's built on athleticism, it has to be concerning.
Bit of a red flag. We're going to move over to Scotty Barnes. His field goal percentage down about 5 points from his rookie season, as are his points per game and rebounds. Panic button on Scotty Barnes, Eddie.
No, because he's so young. He just won the Rookie of the Year. I'm not the biggest fan of his game. The few times I've seen him play in person, his size jumps out. His ability to handle at that size jumps out, and I guess they see him as a Giannis type going forward. So you don't want to panic on a guy that young. They reportedly held on to him in all KD talks this summer and balked at whatever that could have been. So they're clearly invested in what he is. So I wouldn't panic just yet, but I do say, maybe temper expectations for the next 2 years, because his game is a little rugged, and it's not as, if you don't watch him every night, you probably think he's something completely different than what he is, because he won Rookie of the Year last year.
Yeah, the Rookie of the Year, you kind of put him in this category, but that's not who he is. He's averaging 15, 7, and 5. So I'm not panicking at all. I would wish he'd be a little bit more efficient, wish his percentages would be up, but he's kind of that do-it-all Giannis, Siakam type player. He's not the best shooter, but he can play point guard. He can switch pick and rolls defensively. He can guard bigs. He can guard smalls. I love Scotty Barnes. I never thought he'd win Rookie of the Year, but now after winning that, it's like he's got these expectations, and I think people wanted to see him become this 20, 25 point scorer. And that's not really his game. His value is kind of all over the place and doing it all for teams. And you don't want to see his percentage drop that much, but he's still so young and he's still producing a lot for this team. And they're also very, very good. It's easy to put him on the Wizards, and I guarantee you he'll have some Kuzma type numbers, but he's actually on a better team with a lot of other guys around him that do a lot of the scoring.
And Toronto's been notoriously patient with their guys. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but they've waited with Pascal Siakam. They waited with OG Anunoby. They waited with Fred VanVleet. They're waiting with all their guys. They've been notoriously patient. They're not worried about this at all.
It's a nice thing to have an employer, isn't it? Just chill. Let them marinate. See what happens. How about the Portland Trailblazers? Their bench, specifically, fewest points in the league by a bit, Chandler. This is a depth problem. Are you pushing the panic button on that?
I mean, no, it's a problem, but again, this team had really low expectations coming into the season, and they kind of, blew those out of the water early. I think they're gonna start falling off, but yeah, I mean, listen, their bench is a little thin, but what did we expect? I know we liked Shaedon Sharpe, that kid as a rookie. We didn't really see play in college. He's so athletic. He's fun to watch. But this is a starting five heavy team. They rely on Simons. They rely on Dame Lillard, Jeremy Grant, these guys. That's kind of who they are. So I'm not worried because I didn't have any expectations of them in the first place. But yeah, for them to make any sort of noise in the playoffs, if they get there, they're going to need some production from their bench.
Yeah, look, they're waiting on Dame Lillard to come back. They're waiting on Gary Payton to make his debut whenever that is. And he's not a big scoring punch, but he'll make their bench better. Dame being in the starting lineup, pushing guys into the bench as well, will make that team better. They just got to get healthy. And I agree that, Shaedon Sharpe, he should grow throughout the season and be a key piece for them off the bench in that second unit.
It's our first official hot seat topic. It's the Knicks, 11-13. They're under 500 at the Garden. And now we begin. Is Tibbs on the hot seat? Should he be, Eddie? Panic button on Tibbs.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're heavily invested in winning now. They've paid so much money for these guys. This was their big splash. Jalen Brunson, keeping Randall, giving RJ Barrett his deal. They didn't go after Donovan Mitchell. They kept his guy Grimes. Yeah, this team wanted to win. He was a little bit on the hot seat last year. They had to come forward and say, hey, we're not firing him this summer. I think he's one of those that you do got to wonder. Everybody's wondering what's going on with his rotation. Derrick Rose isn't playing. He's basically never liked Cam Reddish. There seems to be a disconnect somewhere. The problem for them is I don't know who steps in and takes that job right behind him. It might not be somebody on their bench. Maybe it's a Frank Vogel. Who knows what they do? But yeah, I'm thinking you got to panic and put him on the hot seat right now for sure.
Yeah, I think his seat is piping hot. I think this is a shitty job. I think this team is not very good. I don't think Randall and Barrett are those guys moving forward. I do like Jalen Brunson, but again, this is a young team that's kind of growing in the biggest market basically in the league. And this is an old school coach who I can just tell you, like the Cam Reddish thing, they couldn't be further apart in the personalities and styles. And so when you get that, there is kind of headbutting. It's just a different generation. And Tibbs is one of the last kind of OG coaches and taping guys for shoot around. And that's just, I don't think that style is going to have a lot of success with the personnel that this team has. But yeah, I wouldn't want this job if I was out there and Tibbs got fired.
The Dolan curse lives on. Until that changes, ain't nothing changing at the Garden, y'all. That's just bottom line. How about up next? Mason Plumlee's his left-handed shots got the whole world talking, and another regular season trophy, plus players calling their own fouls. That's next.
Run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up, run it back, run it up.
Oh, yay! Another trophy, this time to the team with the best regular season record. That's right, the Maurice Podoloff Trophy, named after the first NBA commissioner. What are we doing, guys? Is this a great idea or the worst idea, Chandler? Does anybody care?
No, I mean, I hate it. It's useless, right? People play for an NBA championship. I guess it's kind of cool for like free agent pitches to say, look, we have the best record, but yeah, it reminds me of the Dodgers. The Dodgers win the regular season every year. Who cares if you don't win the World Series? I don't like it. It's just like we touched on last show or a couple shows ago, where it's like Western Conference Finals MVP or Finals MVP. It's like all these awards. Everyone's playing for the NBA championship. So I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't get it. And I don't think anybody's really going to care. I think you're still going to see teams resting for the playoffs to compete for a championship. But sure, is it cool to, give teams more accolades? Fine. But I think it's pretty useless.
Yeah. Like, do the standings exist still? Can we still see them? Are they readily available as I think so. I don't, shout out to the first commissioner of the league and all of that good stuff. But what are we doing right now? If you put this trophy in your trophy case as an organization, you should be ashamed of yourself, because there's only one trophy that matters, and there's only one trophy you should want. So this is going to look really weird back there with your banner about winning the division that doesn't matter anymore anyway. So I don't know.
The Atlantic Division.
Why do we have that many trophies?
I don't know. I only care about one.
It's setting them up for failure too once they lose first or second round. But sick trophy that you gave me for a great regular season.
Right? Yeah. Ask the Phoenix Suns how they feel.
Raffle that off to a fan, a season ticket holder or something. Don't put that in your office, Mr. Owner.
No, this is a straight up attendance record trophy. Or participate. It's just stupid. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of empty awards, but that's just neither here nor there, because we really need to get down to Mason Plumlee. And what in the world is going on with this left-handed shot, and also the reactions of players on the bench, specifically George Hill. They seem perplexed. Chandler, is this just not normal?
I mean, yeah, this is a guy that's been right-handed his entire career, and he's taking elbow jumpers with his left hand. Honestly, respect to him. This is a ballsy move, and this is not easy to do. Like, if I went and shot free throws, even with the flow of the game, I would not make more than 50% of them. This guy's taking jumpers in game. He's been in the league forever. I respect him making the change. I always wonder, guys like Ben Simmons, DeAndre Jordan, why they don't do something like this, or why they're not calling Rick Barry and learning how to shoot underhand. This is, it's kind of psychotic to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So respect to him. You can see the players. I mean,
love it.
It's pretty fascinating that this guy straight up was right-handed and now he's left-handed in his, 10th or whatever year it is in the league.
I mean, Hill looks like somebody literally just took a dump right next to him. Like, that's the face you make when something smells awful. Eddie, we should respect it, right? I mean, he's trying. He's doing something.
Yeah, Wes Matthews also very blown away. But no, can he make a doc? Did he film the training to do this? I'd watch the TikTok about this if it exists. But no, I'm all credit due to him. It went in. The other one went in the next night as well. I remember Tristan Thompson changed hands on his free throw shooting. I think in like his second or third year. It didn't really help, but he changed.
He
hands.
changes a lot of things.
We're
not doing that?
Wow.
Whatever works for the court.
My bad. Sorry. We're
Shout out,
not doing that.
Shout out
Fine.
to TT. Shout out to TT. That's all I'm gonna say with that. But nah, it's a couple guys in this league who probably should change hands and try to make their jumper work. So,
if this man starts shooting threes left-handed, put him in the All-Star game because it was hard to do.
Do a clinic. Do some. It is fascinating to watch, but the reactions to me are almost better than anything.
By the way, this is funny because Austin Rivers should consider doing the same thing.
Zing! Got him.
I was going to say the same thing about Matisse Thybulle on the Sixers.
Yeah.
Maybe
these guys that can't shoot should not be laughing.
This is so. Maybe there are a lot of guys that should be doing this. I love it so much. I'll watch reaction shots of this pretty much for about 3 hours.
Yeah, the reactions are way better than the jumper. This is great television.
It's smart
Like
too
alien.
because expectations are low now that he's shooting opposite-handed. So it's like if he's shooting 50% lefty and he's shooting 60% righty, who cares? People are expecting him to miss and understand what he's going through. I'm telling you, Ben Simmons needs to do this.
Yeah, I think this is made for Ben. This is a Simmons moment. I hope he's paying attention. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, pop the balloons and throw away the celebration. Our one parlay streak is over. We'll try again. Well, there it is. We were feeling hot, feeling good, feeling pretty, and got 3 of the 4 wrong. But I will say this, Chandler, Luka Doncic, I can't say he had a bad game. He just didn't have all the points that he was maybe going to have. So this only can mean one thing, guys. We can only go up from here. Let's try again. Eddie, what do you have for today's 4-leg parlay? You're 2.
I think it can get worse. I think it can still get worse. Chandler's at home. He's not partying with anybody. We don't have our advantage. I'm going Hawks. I'm going Hawks with the points versus the Knicks. F. Trae Young in full effect. I think they pull out the win. Why are the Knicks getting points? Like, what are we doing here? I don't get it. So after that, I'm going with where's my thing? Pacers. Pacers 4.5 over the Timberwolves. Again, same thing. Why are the Timberwolves favored against anybody? I got the Pacers running them out the gym. We're going to keep betting against Rudy Gobert until he makes us pay for it, which I don't think he ever will.
Wow. Had to add the extra shade. All right. Chandler. What do you have?
I hate to say it, but I love both of Eddie's picks. I really do.
Great.
I love them.
It means a lot.
Timberwolves by 30.
Yeah, tonight I like the under here. I doubt AD plays back to back. I just don't see a lot of points here, which I think is going to help the Lakers. I mean, 9.5 points is a lot of points. I like if AD's not out. I like if he's in, but if he's out, it gives opportunity for other guys to step up. I feel really confident about these.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You do
I know
not
that which we know that means we're probably going to go 0 for 4, but I love them. I like Eddie's more than mine, to be honest with you.
Well, that's not, well, if you bet 20, you win 233. So that's something. Christmas is around the corner. That's, obviously got to spend a lot of money for that. I will say this. Shout out to the Timberwolves for giving Matt Ryan a gig. I think he signed on a 2-way. I did just see breaking news that Ben Simmons hoping to play on Friday. Eddie, cancel all your plans. Am I right?
Against Atlanta, his nemesis in the paint, Trae Young. He's gonna see him pray in his face for the first time since then. I can't wait. I like this parlay too, but I'm gonna say now because we won't be back for a while. Chandler betting big on the Lakers is terrifying me. The Lakers to stay close and the Lakers defense to keep it close.
You're right. I don't know how the Knicks are getting points. Is someone out for Atlanta? Like this spread confuses me. It's too good to be true.
My God. The fact that I have to sit here and listen to you two every time that you try to do this and pretend like it's the day that we turn things around. It's beautiful.
We should do 6-leg parlays and you hop in and see how easy
it
is.
That's our Friday. Happy Wednesday. Enjoy your week and your weekend. See you Monday.